Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Headley Headspaces. And this Headspace is called, Why is the BBC always on the back foot when it comes to allegations of misconduct of a manner with a minor? How come they always seem to be so late to the party? They just never get the memo. Shall we discuss Scott Mills? So before I get into my headspace, which is called, Why is the BBC always on the back foot when it comes to allegations of misconduct of a nature with a minor? How come they always seem to be so late to the party and they never get the party? They never get the memo, Scott Mills. Yes, that took ages and it was a little bit annoying, but I got it out second time round. Anyway, so before I jump all over that, please do make a donation at deniseheadley.com, and also you can visit my website, which is of the same name. And when you do go to the YouTube, click the bell notification and select all. And I forgot to say thank you for your listening ear and your returning ear about I'm asking you for money. But essentially, thank you so much for returning, listening. And last week's debacle with the PC will not be repeated because in front of me I have a pristine, bespoke piece of equipment which is designed specifically for C'est Moi and the Headley Highlight Show. So thank you so much for your support in that, BB Links. And thank you to all my listeners who also contributed and helped with your donations so I can get an upgrade with some of this equipment. So thank you so much for that. So let's jump all over this now. So during the course of this week, I heard that Scott Mills had been released from the BBC because of historic allegations of misconduct with a minor under the age of 16. And immediately when I heard this story, I just had flashbacks of the following individuals. Jimmy Savile. Who else is there? We just had a program, I think it was on ITV, regarding Hugh Edwards. You had Stuart Hall, Rolf Harris. You also had Paul Gambaccini, Jim Davison, Wilfred Diath, Ted Beeston, and let's not forget Tim Westwood. All of these names were involved in some kind of misconduct or allegations. Not everybody was charged. Some cases were dropped. No further action was taken. No evidence was sufficient enough for a case to go forward. But the important thing for me in relation to Scott Mills is how come so many of these individuals with these difficulties in terms of the things that they're attracted to, or should I say the people, not the things, excuse me, do forgive me for that, but the people that they're attracted to, why is it that the BBC always seems to be so late to, on the back foot as to we didn't know, or this was an issue but there was no further investigation, or it's come to light now and because of the headlines, which are of course not very good, this person has decided to resign from the BBC with no action being taken. Doesn't it strike you as odd that all the time this is the case? So what happened with Scott Mills? He has been sacked after new information, sounds familiar, this whole idea of new information coming to light about an old police investigation. Isn't that a juxtaposition in itself? New and old, all in the same sentence, trying to describe one single thing, which in my opinion should have had red flags flying at the spires from dawn. But the investigation from 2016 involved allegations of a offence dating back to 1997 and 2000, so for a 3-year period. It was later confirmed that the alleged victim, a boy under 16, Mr. Mills was questioned by the police. However, he was never charged as there wasn't enough evidence. And the case was officially closed in 2019. That was during the period of COVID. The BBC says it already knew. What a comfort to the license fee payers. It already knew about the investigation in 2017, but only recently learned or confirmed the age detail which led to the dismissal. Now, do you even believe that? Do you even believe that for 1 second, the new information about the person's age wasn't known at the time when they were extending a probably hugely fat contract to Mr. Mills? The silence abounds says everything, because this is absolute balderdash. This is like the situation with Mandelson and what's the chap's name, McSweeney. Apparently the mobile phone with damning information showing the depth of the relationship, it's been stolen, and we're supposed to believe this utter tripe. Anyway, that was annoying to me. And the reason I read you that list of individuals who, at some point during the life of the BBC, its ratings and it's making money for itself, are you trying to tell me that nobody knew anything ever at all about that group of people I just told you about? How about no? How about no? Mr. Mills, unsurprisingly, denies any wrongdoing. Really? So first of all, what were you doing in the space beforehand? Okay, because if the child was, the correct operative word being the child, was under the age of 16, why were you even engaging in communications of any nature or of whatever it was? What are you doing there? That should have said already to people around you, this is not the person that we think this individual is. That, what's going on? It's not like we don't live in a society where people know these are the boundaries and you don't exceed them. This, in my opinion, this comes during a wider scrutiny of the BBC after other scandals, including the case of Mr. Hugh Edwards. He did plead guilty, by the way. He had several category 1 images on his phone in relation to minors, and they were debauched and grotesque in nature, but he still had them on his phone. But this is what I'm trying to say. These people are wandering among us. And frankly, we're always being told, to pay the license fee so they can have even more money, influence, and opportunity, in my opinion, to be aggrandized, and for some, individual young person to think, oh wow, this person's so important, and suddenly they're in the clutch of a difficult circumstance which the adult has predicated and should not be acting in, or they're moving on to new jobs, or there's no case to be answered, or they're being they're sacked because new information has come to light. No one believes this stuff. Let's not forget what happened with Tim Westwood. How many people were harmed as a consequence of his predatory, debauched behavior only with young black women, of course. Oh yes, only with that. He's never even been charged. Yeah, he's living out his life in a hot country, presumably enjoying the locals and enjoying the opportunities that being white abroad and in a black country, which has deferential cultural identities for white people, would afford you. So yes, basically, I'm kind of cheesed off with the BBC and institutions always coming to the news and the knowledge and then waving the flag of, oh, it's new information. We know it's not new information. We knew you didn't care, just like in all of the other circumstances where people knew what was happening and they just didn't care. And that's my 2 pence on Mr. Scott Mills. Do make a contribution, give me your thoughts, your 2 pence, your 3 cities, or your declining dollar price. And cut, darlings. Thank you for your listening ear.